I've been getting a bunch of questions about what side hustles are working right now, what I'm working on. I haven't tried everything, so I can't tell you all the things that are working, but I have seen some stuff where I'm thinking that's probably not going to work. Well, I'm not going to go over those, of course, but I'm going to go over about 7 different side hustles and things that you could work on. Most of them are online. Some of them are not online, but your digital marketing skills should help out. One that I've been playing around with, and I'll show you because I have props here, is print on demand. So I actually have like a print on demand shop, and I've been working on like merch for my other brand and getting some samples. So that's important to me to make sure it's like high quality stuff. So let's take a quick look. Here's the other sweatshirt that I got here and kind of a silly inside joke for the actual print on here, and it looks pretty good. It's not as thick as I thought it was going to be, but it's very soft. It's a good brand, so it's like a light fleece material, and I think that's important to check out. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that I've been doing print on demand. Stickers. So I didn't make all of these stickers, but I have been dabbling with sticker design. But I'm actually a sticker consumer. So when we go on vacation, I often buy a few stickers wherever we go. That's number one, print on demand. And I think it's a great area to approach. A lot of us have some design skills through Canva and just working online. You don't have to be like a skilled graphics artist to do it. In fact, some of the t-shirts I'm going to be designing, they're just going to have letters on it. You pop in there, you throw some text on there, maybe like plain black t-shirt, plain white t-shirt with black or white writing, just easy to read and create. And it could be a very niche thing. That's going to be a trend as we go through some of the others here. I'm not going to number these because I think I'm going to goof it up, but we have newsletters and blogs. So they kind of go hand in hand. You could have more sort of brand around it. Maybe you have Instagram, maybe you have some other different platforms out there that you spend time on. But the main idea here is to have a newsletter so that you have an email address so that you're not building something on someone else's platform. That's the big issue in many cases. Maybe you spend a lot of time over on Facebook and you build a page and then they shut down your group or whatever happens. This happens all the time. Luckily, you can take those skills somewhere else, but newsletters are fantastic for this. If you do have a blog component, which I do recommend, you can have additional information out there where you can maybe write something longer and have more information, maybe a guide or something like that for a local area. That could be really helpful for your readers, but you wouldn't necessarily put like a very long guide for maybe like a walking tour in your local area. Maybe you don't put that in an email. You want to put that in your website. So perhaps you can send out the link in your email, but there is a purpose to have a blog out there. Some of the platforms with a newsletter, they do have like a blog component, but I would recommend that you actually have your own blog in that case. And it's a good time to mention you can use a company like Cloudways Hosting, which is the sponsor for today's video. So I'll just mention that you can check it out. And I'll show you a couple other things you could do over at Cloudways as well. But a blog in your own domain is an important thing to have. So you actually control everything and you're not left up to the email service provider that you're using for your blog and your email service. You don't want them to make a change and all of a sudden you don't have control of your site. That's why it's important to have your own blog, and you can check out the great deals they have over at Cloudways Hosting. Quick tangent here. I've noticed a lot of YouTubers out there that are pretty established, like they've done YouTube full time for many years. They don't have a mic stand. I don't understand this. Like they'll get a good microphone and then they're just holding it and that sort of thing. Now, I have seen people where they're traveling and they're not in their normal home studio and they're holding the microphone. I get that. You're not going to bring a whole mic stand if you're traveling light and you're on a plane or whatever, but you might bring your mic. That's cool. But I don't understand why they don't just go ahead and get a mic stand. They don't cost that much and it makes it much easier to shoot your videos. However, if you're just starting, I have seen people hold little mics, and I get that. If you haven't built out your studio or whatever, I get it. But when you're a pro, why don't you just get a mic stand? Get mic stands, people. Next up is directories. So you can niche down and have a directory on maybe like physical therapy practices around the country. For example, we had Tony on the channel many times, and we interviewed him, and he's literally a physical therapist, and he created a directory and was able to make it profitable because he would have sponsored listings and that sort of thing. He had some other monetization methods, but a directory, especially when you niche down, makes a lot of sense. I've been into guitars a lot more recently, and it's pretty cool to know like what shops to go to. So I could imagine like a sort of a boutique or very like a high end or just a general directory where you can find information on different guitar shops around the country. When I travel, I actually look around to see if there's a guitar shop near me, if they have any like specialization. And I can imagine if you have a specialization, if there's something that you're interested in. Like I said, I'm interested in guitar shops, so I'm kind of looking for that information anyway, and you could probably find a way to monetize it. Again, you would want to have your own website, probably a WordPress site, but there's different solutions out there. You can get plugins and different themes and stuff like that that make perfect sense to simplify the process of setting up a directory, right? You don't have to do this by hand. And again, you could use Cloudways and see their WordPress solutions that they have over there. Next up is managing websites for small businesses. This is a classic agency idea, and you can imagine a restaurant in your local community. They need to focus on marketing and cooking the food and running the restaurant and not worry about setting up the website. Sure, they can have a social media presence and have a little bit of information out there, but often that information is not accurate. It would be great if they had their own website so that they could put in their specials or whatever is going on that week. Every business really needs a website. And the thing is, like, if you get the template down for the WordPress site, for example, then you're in great shape to scale this out and manage in that niche. So you manage websites in that specific niche, and that way you don't have to recreate the wheel every time. You will need to probably be fairly strict on like customization and stick with the template so that you don't have to do a lot of like custom work for different companies. They need to focus on their business, whatever it is, if it's a restaurant or a coffee shop or a dentist, physical therapist, maybe a psychologist, a CPA, financial advisors, any sort of like professional industry where they need to spend the time doing people's taxes. They don't want to spend their time trying to build the website and writing content and figuring all that stuff out. They need to focus on the business and getting more customers. Perfect solution here is Cloudways hosting. I'll show you really quick some of the stuff they have going on over at Cloudways. The great part with Cloudways is they have it set up so that you can have multiple websites and essentially run an agency. It's literally made for this so that you can have plenty of different websites. And what I've described is a classic agency, and basically you can use Cloudways to do this so that you have multiple websites that you manage as an agency, and all of those clients are managed on one dashboard. I appreciate them sponsoring this video, and please do check it out. They actually have this limited time offer, 75% off advanced support for life. So you can head over to cloudways.com, check out the link in the description. It's very affordable, it's reliable, and definitely worth it if you are looking into this agency idea. If you're looking into another side hustle, or maybe you just need to switch hosting, you could probably save a lot if you do move over to Cloudways. So thanks again. One side hustle I haven't looked into personally is creating apps. However, I know a bunch of newer developers that are using AI and they're launching apps. They're able to get their tools out there quickly. Usually they're scratching their own itch. They're solving some of the problems they have personally, and then they're putting the tools out there in the world. Very interesting and really effective with AI these days. I actually have a software background, and I see people deploying code, deploying their apps, and getting it out there and real users using their code. Again, they maybe have no background in software, but Cloudways does have developer-friendly sites, pre-installed apps that you could check out like Git and Composer. So if it's a thing that you're interested in and you want to launch your app, you can have your app launched in minutes. So you got to know some software and you got to have an app rolling, but you could manage the apps on the go. And if you're into this stuff, it's worth checking out Cloudways for the solutions that they have, and it's made for developers. Next up is photography. This one hits home for me because I've always been into photography since I was a kid. And I got my first like pretty good camera when I was in college or so. And over the years, I've accumulated more gear. I'm actually pretty into photography. So I'll bring my camera on vacation. I have a few lenses over here. And one thing that I realized is I had friends who they didn't really want to get like a full portrait session, but they needed a few more professional or semi-professional photos taken. So I was like, sure, I could do it. I mean, they asked me if I wanted to do like a portrait session with their family, which I did, and it turned out okay. I actually, watched some YouTube videos and tried to figure it out. But this is one of those like in real life services that you can do. And sure, I actually have turned this photography thing into occasionally I'll do some portrait sessions. So not a full-time thing. I'm not looking for clients, but I've actually been able to earn some money from it. And I'm pretty sure I have the gear and I have the understanding and the know-how and the software. If I wanted to do like real estate photography, I could probably work with people with Airbnbs. Turns out I use Airbnb, so I know what good photos look like and when they didn't do a good job, and maybe some better photos would certainly help out. So it makes a huge difference. Little idea for you out there. So you may not be into photography like me, but maybe you're into something else. Maybe you're into audio gear and that sort of thing. So you just have to think like, what are you good at? What do you know how to do? What can you help people with? Maybe you're into gardening and maybe a little design, and you've learned over the years how to do some design and gardening in your own yard. You could help other people in your neighborhood. It's a pretty simple thing, and it's whatever you're into. And you don't have to treat it as like a full-time job. It's just a way that you could use your expertise to help other people out and get paid for it. By now, you're figuring out that I am covering things that I am into, that I'm literally doing. And one of the things that I'm into is guitars. I have started to not flip, but I've been acquiring some used guitars that typically are undervalued. And it's fun. I'm looking at these guitars anyway, but this is a sort of a classic side hustle where I'm just finding stuff that I think I would like to have for a little while, things that are potentially undervalued slash I can get a good deal on. And one is like a guitar. I'm looking for things that are potentially undervalued, and it's kind of surprising the deals that you can find because the thing is, sometimes people just want to sell something fast and they don't want to hassle with it very much. Some guitars, or, fill in the blank, if you're a hobbyist in different area. Maybe you buy bicycles. Like I have a buddy, he's always looking for bikes. I think he has like a dozen bikes at his house, and he'll ride them for a little while and have some fun with them, and then he'll sell them and flip them or sell them to a friend or whatever. And the thing is, like, you can make your hobby earn a little bit of money so that it's supporting the thing that you want to get. Like I want to get more guitars because they're fun, but maybe I don't need as many guitars as I have, but it's fun to have them. And I enjoy looking and I enjoy the negotiation. Usually there's some story behind it. So if you're able to look at something that you like, again, maybe it's photography, maybe it's camera gear, maybe it's something else that you're just super into, you can enjoy the hobby and acquire more of the gear, whatever it is, and then have it for a little while, enjoy it, and then send it back out into the wild. Hopefully, if you got a really good deal, you're actually going to earn a little bit of money on it. And once you get rolling and understand what a good deal is, then you'll be better off. I will tell you, I made a couple, less impressive deals over the years, and it turned out okay. I broke even. I haven't lost any money on this stuff, but it's pretty important, kind of like real estate, to get a good deal up front, and then you're probably not going to lose any money on it in the future. Thanks a lot to Cloudways. What is your favorite side hustle? Is there something you're dabbling with? Is there something I missed out there? And again, I haven't tried everything, but I know the ones that I covered, they're legit. If you have a directory, if you have a newsletter, or maybe an agency where you're building websites for companies in your local area within a specific niche, you're probably going to do okay. Thanks a lot to Cloudways. Please do check them out, and we'll catch you on the next video.